Hi, welcome to Future Technos. We are here at Apple Park. We just got out of the keynote and I got my hands on the iPhone 17 and the iPhone Air. So let's talk about it. This is all things mobile. Let's start off with the iPhone Air because that's really what stole the show. You could literally hear people gasping as they announced this. It is 5.6 millimeters thin. That number alone makes it one of the slimmest iPhones Apple has ever made. When I first held it, I was honestly surprised by how light it felt. At just 165 grams, it almost feels like you're holding nothing. The titanium frame plays a big role here. It makes the phone feel solid, but keeps it extremely lightweight. That balance of strength and thinness is what gives the iPhone Air its unique character. The design is minimal, and yet it makes a bold statement. Phones today often feel a little heavy with all the cameras and hardware packed inside. But the iPhone Air feels like Apple went back to the basics of portability. You look at it and immediately think, this is the kind of phone you can carry around all day without ever feeling weighed down. At the same time, you don't feel like it's fragile. Titanium keeps it durable, so while it's slim, it isn't weak. That is something Apple highlighted, and you can feel it when you hold the device. Now let's talk about the cameras, because that is always a big deal when it comes to iPhones. The iPhone Air has a single 48-megapixel fusion camera. At first, that might sound like a step back compared to phones with multiple lenses. But Apple has designed this system in a smart way. The camera can take wide photos, but it can also give you a 2x telephoto effect using sensor cropping. So, you still get that zoom capability, even without having multiple lenses sticking out. It is a clean design, and it still gives you flexibility in your shots. Of course, there will be compromises. It won't be as powerful as the Pro models with 3 cameras, but for most users, this setup will handle daily photography without an issue. The bigger question with such a thin phone is always the battery. People were wondering how Apple would fit a big enough battery inside this slim design. Apple says the iPhone Air can last all day. That sounds promising, but real-world use will tell the full story. To help with this, Apple is introducing something new in iOS 26 called Adaptive Power. This feature uses AI to manage your battery. It looks at how you use your phone and automatically scales back processes that are not needed in the moment. The goal is to save energy without you noticing a difference in performance. That could be very useful, especially on a device this slim. And of course, you still have MagSafe accessories, so if you really need more power, you can snap on a battery pack. That way you don't lose the thin form factor, but you still get options for longer use. The display on the iPhone Air is another highlight. It has a 6.5-inch screen, which feels like the perfect balance between portability and size. Apple added an anti-reflective coating, which is a small detail but makes a huge difference. Bright sunlight is one of the hardest things for phone screens to deal with. With this coating and a peak brightness of 3000 nits, Apple is clearly aiming to solve that problem. Imagine being outdoors on a sunny day, trying to read a message or look at a photo. With this display, you should still be able to see clearly. That's a big step forward. Another exciting change is the refresh rate. For years, people have asked Apple to bring higher refresh rates to the non-Pro models. With the iPhone Air and the iPhone 17, that finally happened. Both phones now support a 120 Hz adaptive refresh rate. This means animations look smoother, scrolling feels more fluid, and you also get the benefits of an always-on display. Notifications, live activities, and even widgets can stay visible without waking up the screen. It's something iPhone Pro users have enjoyed, and now it's available to more people. That is a welcome change. On the front, the iPhone Air has an 18-megapixel center stage selfie camera. This is an interesting feature because it can automatically adjust whether you should be taking a photo in portrait or landscape. No need to turn your phone around or reposition people. It just figures it out for you and keeps everyone in the frame. I tried it out and it felt very natural. These little details are what make using an iPhone simple. You don't have to think too much about the technology, it just works in the background. Under the hood, the iPhone Air comes with Apple's new A19 Pro chip. This chip is designed to be more powerful, but also more efficient. Apple is focusing a lot on performance per watt, meaning you get more speed and power without draining your battery as quickly. This will also play a big role in Apple Intelligence features, which are Apple's take on AI-powered experiences. The Air is ready for all of that. Starting at $999, it isn't cheap, but it is positioned as a premium device that isn't a Pro. Pre-orders start Friday and the phone becomes available September 19th. Now let's move to the baseline iPhone 17. It may not have stolen the spotlight like the Air, but it does bring solid upgrades that will matter to a lot of people. The display here is 6.3 inches, slightly smaller than the Air, but still generous in size. Just like the Air, you get the 120Hz refresh rate, the anti-reflective coating, and that same 3000 net peak brightness. This makes the iPhone 17 a very capable device for both indoor and outdoor use. The borders are slimmer, which gives you a bit more usable screen space without making the phone larger in your hand. The cameras are where things get interesting. Unlike the Air, the baseline iPhone 17 has two rear cameras. The main one is a 48-megapixel Fusion wide-angle camera. Alongside it, you get a 48-megapixel ultra-wide Fusion camera. This means you get more flexibility in your shots. You can capture wide scenic views, group photos, or just fit more into your frame without having to step back. And yes, you still get that 2x telephoto capability thanks to the sensor crop. The front camera is the same 18-megapixel center stage setup as the Air, so selfies and video calls benefit from the same smart framing technology. Battery life is another area Apple highlighted. The iPhone 17 is said to deliver all-day battery life, with Apple claiming 8 hours more video playback compared to the iPhone 16. That is a big jump. In addition, fast charging is supported. Apple says you can get up to 50% charge in just 20 minutes. For those times when you're in a rush, that's a lifesaver. These are the kinds of small but important improvements that change daily use. The processor on the iPhone 17 is the A19, not the A19 Pro like the Air. That means it's slightly less powerful, but it should still handle Apple Intelligence and iOS 26 features without any problems. Apple tends to optimize its software so well that even the base models run smoothly for years. That consistency is one of the reasons so many people stick with iPhones. Starting at $7,999, the iPhone 17 is the more affordable option while still delivering meaningful upgrades. Like the Air, pre-orders start Friday, with availability on September 19th. Both phones also share the software experience. iOS 26 brings a lot of new features, especially around personalization and intelligence. Adaptive power for battery life, improved widgets, smarter Siri, and tighter integration of AI across the system. Apple Intelligence is being positioned as a big part of the future of iPhones. Features like text summarization, smart replies, generative tools for photos, and on-device AI assistants are all part of the package. What's important here is that Apple is running much of this directly on the device. That means faster responses and more privacy, since your data doesn't always need to leave your phone. So, between the iPhone Air and the iPhone 17, the question becomes, which one is right for you? If you want the lightest, thinnest iPhone Apple has ever made and you don't mind living with just one main camera, the Air is very appealing. It looks futuristic and feels almost impossibly slim in your hand. If you want more flexibility with your photography and a slightly lower price, the baseline iPhone 17 gives you a lot of value. Both devices bring features that were once reserved for the Pro line, and that's exciting. Apple is clearly listening to feedback. People wanted higher refresh rates, always-on displays, and better brightness on non-Pro models. Now they have it. People wanted slimmer designs without sacrificing too much functionality. That's exactly what the Air is. These choices make it clear that Apple is broadening what the standard iPhone can do. It's no longer just about the Pro line getting the best features. At the end of the day, both the iPhone Air and iPhone 17 represent Apple's vision of where mobile is going. Thinner, lighter, smarter, and more efficient. Which one you choose will depend on your priorities. For some, the design of the Air will be irresistible. For others, the balanced package of the iPhone 17 will be the smarter choice. Either way, it's an exciting time for iPhone users.